Graders. So we are just moving right along in our learning about atoms and elements and what makes up an atom. It's really important that we have this base foundation of elements and atoms. Before we move on, next week we're going to begin talking about the periodic table of elements. So it is so important that we have this base foundation, which is why it seems like we're spending way too much time on this, because I really want to make sure that you can, off the top of your head, tell me the three parts of an atom: protons, neutrons, and electrons, and tell me their charge and where they're located in the atom too. So we're going to do this fill in the blank activity together. I'm going to write it down, and I want you to just follow along with me. See if you can fill in the words before I even write the words down. And if there's a word or a definition or a concept that you haven't fully understood or you've forgotten a little bit, this is a really good time for you to get out your science notebook and write this down. Write it down in your science notebook so that you have it. So let's begin. Let's just start on in. It says to use the vocabulary words from the vocabulary matching section to fill in the missing information in the passage below. Now, here's a little piece of advice, tips and tricks for you. The activity that you did yesterday was the vocabulary matching section from this worksheet. I just made it into a Google form. So you know all the words that you need to put in to the blanks from your activity yesterday. Congratulations. So let's just get right down to business, huh? Matter is anything that has a mass and takes up space. We have been learning that since the beginning of the year. You should know that backwards and forwards, that matter is anything that has a mass and takes up space. The primary constituent of matter means what is the primary thing of matter? What is it called? The primary thing that matter is called, do you guys remember? It's called an element. What matter is called primarily is an element. And what is an element made up of? What makes up an element? Atoms. Atoms make up everything. Everything is made up of a collection of atoms. Atoms make up elements. Each atom is made up of smaller particles known as subatomic particles. Sub meaning below, less than atomic particles. In the blank or middle, what's the middle of an atom called? The middle of the atom is called the nucleus. Remember? The nucleus is that middle of the atom. Of an atom are two types of subatomic particles. What are the two types of subatomic particles that are at the center of an atom? Do you guys remember? Protons and neutrons, remember, are at the center of an atom. The positively charged particles in the nucleus of an atom are called protons. Remember, protons are positive. Positive. While the uncharged particles in the nucleus are called the neutrons. Remember, neutrons are neutral. They're uncharged. Orbiting the nucleus of an atom is a cloud of negatively charged. What's the negatively charged one? Do you guys remember? Right, electrons. Electrons are the negatively charged ones. These negatively charged particles are much smaller in mass than protons and neutrons, so much so that they do not contribute a significant amount to the mass of an atom. Therefore, to calculate the atomic mass of an atom, you find the sum of protons and neutrons found in the atom. Remember the atomic mass, the sum is addition, remember? Sum is addition. So you add the number of protons and the number of neutrons in the atom to find the atomic mass of an atom. And remember, we talked about really briefly last Friday that each element on the periodic table has a different atomic mass. It has a different number of protons and neutrons in its nucleus, which is what makes each element unique and different because it has a different number of protons and neutrons in the nucleus of the atom. So now we're going to do this review activity. It says follow the directions on the review sheet, on the activity sheet, and record your work below. Okay, so I have here we go, the activity sheet. We're going to be scrolling a little bit, don't get dizzy. The figure on the activity page represents an atom. Label the nucleus and the electronic cloud. Okay, so it wants us to label the nucleus and it wants us to label the electronic cloud. Okay, so 7th and 8th graders, this right here, oops, this is my nucleus. Remember, the nucleus is the center of the atom. So this whole circle is the nucleus, which means that this whole outside, this lighter gray, is the electron cloud, where the electrons are circling around the nucleus. So remember, the nucleus is the center. This dark gray is the nucleus, and this light gray is the electron cloud. Okay, it says, next one, we did number 1, let's cross it off. Number 2, add 6 protons to the correct part of the atom using the symbol P+. Draw a circle around each P+ to represent the protons. Color in the protons, optional. We're not going to be coloring it. Okay, where do protons go? Where are protons in an atom? Protons are in the nucleus, so I'm going to put 6 little P pluses in the nucleus. P plus. 6. Got 6 of them. Protons, 6 protons in the nucleus. What else? Okay. Not coloring them. Add 6 neutrons to the correct part of the atom using the symbol N. Draw a circle around each N to represent the neutrons. Okay, they want me to draw 6 neutrons. Where do my neutrons go? Okay, let me remember. My neutrons go in the nucleus, so I'm going to draw 6 N's. In the nucleus. There we go. Okay, I did that. So what does it ask us? Number 4, add 6 electrons to the correct part of the atom using small dots to represent their tiny size. Write a minus sign next to each electron dot to show its negative charge. Okay, I need to add 6 tiny dots. Well, electrons go in the electron cloud. 6 tiny dots. Tiny dot with a negative sign. Tiny dot, negative, negative. Okay, 4, 5, tiny dot with a negative sign. Negative, negative electrons in our electron cloud. Woohoo! Okay. In the space provided below the atom model, calculate the atomic mass of the atom you drew. Explain the reasoning behind your answer. Okay, so we need to find the atomic mass. What's the atomic mass? If we remember from our vocabulary that we did, the atomic mass is found by adding the protons and neutrons in the nucleus. So, how many protons do I have? I have 6 protons and neutrons. I have 6 neutrons. 6 plus 6, 12. How did I get this answer? I got it by adding number of protons and number of neutrons. Adding number of protons to number of neutrons. Great! That's what I want you guys to write in your science notebooks. I please want you to draw this model in your science notebooks, filling in your protons and your neutrons in the right spot. Make sure to label your nucleus, please, and label your electron cloud. Add your little tiny dot to the negative sign. I want you to practice drawing this in your science notebook as an example. If you don't remember or seem to have misplaced the definition for atomic mass, please as well write that down in your notebook and make sure you have the atomic mass and how you got the answer for the atomic mass underneath your drawing in your science notebook.